So what I'm doing here is I'm wanting to show you a little bit about the system. I've had some requests about how to use it, seeing it in daily use, the summary of the pages, etc. So what I've done here is I've just kind of stacked the pages, and we've got a goal planner set, we've got a daily planner set, a monthly planner set, weekly planner set. We've also got yearly, and then of course a notes pages. So I want to talk about each of these. So the goal planner, each of the sections of the full system is made up of 4 half pages printed out. So if you unfold it, you can see here that this is a full page that is basically printed on all 4 sides and then folded in half to be a booklet style print. Now the reason I like this is because, one, I could simply take this page or what I do actually all the time is the daily planner page with me and actually use it real time. It's lightweight, it's convenient to take with me. But I can also split these pages, and then I can actually make them fit. Now I'm turning around here because I want to grab another item that I want to show you. So I can also split the pages in half, and then I actually use a custom hole punch in order to make them fit in the journal of my choice, or the planning system of my choice. So I like this ring binder system that I got from Office Depot. It's the toll system. So just a little peek at that particular item. And whenever I say the custom hole punch, I literally have a hole punch system that I use that is, and there's their logo if you're looking for any of their materials, toll custom note-taking system. Alright, but this same system could be made to work with, for example, the Franklin Covey system. So a lot of these have custom hole punches, and you could also not hole punches at all, or use just a regular 3-hole punch or a smaller punch that they make for the smaller systems. Alright, so just wanted to give you a little bit about the binder use and the hole punch systems that I've been very attracted to as I've developed the system. Then each 4-page booklet set has some features. So for example, you can see on the focus page of the goal planner starts off with the SMART goal setting and a little reminder: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, etc., and a deadline. You've also got your why. Why is this important? This is where you kind of draw the line. This is where you set it out and you say, hey, this is what I'm no longer going to stand for, or this is what I'm going towards. This is where you put your pain and your pleasure, those kind of things that are going to drive you forward whenever you're not in the mood, whenever you're tired, when you're worn out, when you're sick. These are the things that are going to still drive you towards that goal, or keep you from going backwards, etc. We can also see that there's a reward section. There's also sections for milestones. In each major goal, you also need to divide it up into some milestones or some targets. This allows you to do that and give yourself a reward for each. I've left deadline space in here so that you can write that real big. And then up at the top, there is the place where you can write, for example, the quarter, the month, the year, depending on how big or small this particular goal is. Inside, you will see on the right side, and this is going to be a familiar view on some of the pages that I'm going to show you, you'll see a notes page. This is for you to scribble, brainstorm, mind map, whatever you need to do to get things straight. For one of my goals this year, I used this page to actually define what I meant. So in other words, whenever I write out the goal here, I had so many lines, but I really wanted to dig in and define what I meant by some of the items that were in that goal. For me, one of my goals for this year was financial freedom, and in order to say financial freedom, there were some other things besides just a number that I wanted to define. What is my idea of financial freedom? So I defined that out on this page. Then, along with the front page's milestones and targets, you've got to have some laid out steps or action steps for each of those milestones or targets. And so I've given you a section for those, and then I feel it's important to actually put it in writing, to commit to it. And then I added a very powerful quote or oath of manifestation by Dr. Cheryl Ward that I felt was very powerful for me, and I hope that that helps you too. So you can see the goal planning page, pretty amazing, pretty powerful. It could be used on its own or as part of the complete system. And then what I consider the focal point or the main page of my time management is my daily planner page. And this is where on a daily basis you're going to write out your driving goals. In other words, remind yourself what's important and what you're going for. You also, each morning I sit down and I write out something that I'm grateful for. Sometimes that's my wife, sometimes it's my kids, sometimes it's both of them, sometimes it's my business partner, sometimes it's God, and basically this is just a place for you to say what you're thankful and grateful for, to remind yourself each morning before you start out what's important, what are the big rocks, what are you grateful for. And then what I've done here is I've set myself 4 focus target or sessions for the day. So in other words, what am I going to put into this day to make things happen? So I've got some area where I can detail that out. I can also make a note of the main accomplishment and or the least that would make that a successful day. I've also put in here a focus time and a refresh time. Some of us use some time management methods where it's nice to put down how much time we're going to focus on that and then how much time we're going to use to refresh before we move on to the next item. For example, a lot of times I might use a 1 hour period as a focus session, and what I might do is I might say, hey, I'm going to focus for 48 minutes straight on whatever this task, this target, this session's about, and then I'm going to give myself 12 minutes to play a game, to refresh, to take a break, whatever it is, but I'm going to utilize that. And then I've left a small blank space over here. This is for creative use. Some of us use systems different ways, and I wanted to give you the freedom to do whatever you need with this. For me, I use this for a scoring method, which I actually add up on the back for productivity and discipline. And so I might give myself a score in each of those areas, and then I use that to add it up for the end of the day. All right. So once again, a common theme is a notes page for brainstorming, mind mapping, etc. Then something that is personal and custom for the daily planner is the scheduling. Notice it starts at 5 a.m., goes all the way to 11 p.m. That gives you plenty of space to plan things out. And it's kind of hard to see because I made it pretty light on purpose, but there's a planning side and an actual side with a little line down the middle. You don't have to use it that way. You can use the whole line, but I kind of like to plan on the left and then put what I actually do on the right. So sometimes our days don't go exactly as planned, and that gives you the ability to mold it and journal it and make it tell the truth about what you're actually doing. And then right beside that, I have my tasks and a little reminder of the 80-20 rule, PROS principle, whatever you want to call it. A lot of us are familiar with that. And then a lot of people ask me what that FTF stands for. And it's two things. And one is first things first, in other words, your big rocks. And another thing it stands for is feared thing first. So a lot of times I will literally write the thing I'm most afraid of, or the thing I am not looking forward to for the day. I write that in that first spot so I can knock it off first, so I can put it in, get it out of the way. That makes sense. So that's what that FTF stands for, if you ever want to know. And then I think one of the most powerful tools in this set is the habit tracker. And this is a daily habit tracker. It's got some magic built into it, depending on how you're going to use it. One of the ways that I use the habit tracker is I'll mark down how many. I'll write down something like coffee and water, and what I'll do is I'll put a C in a box if I have a coffee. I'll put a W if I have a water, and I'll kind of track those throughout the day, just to give myself a mental reminder of how much coffee I'm drinking and how many waters I should probably not drinking, and get that stuff straight. And then you'll notice there are 60 boxes here. And the reason I did that is because I will usually use one as a health tracker of some sort. Maybe it's a carb tracker, maybe it's a coffee and water tracker like I told you. But then I could use all of them, or I could use a section of them for my focuses. For example, I'm a salesperson and I need to door knock, I need to cold call, I need to follow up on customers. So I use these to track door knocks, cold calls, etc. So these are habits that I want to get used to. And I also need a paper tracker, because we'll lie to ourselves. If you're a salesperson, a lot of times you'll make 3 calls and think you made 50. And or you'll be working an open house, you think you've had 20 guests and you've had 3. And so things like this, these habit trackers, will allow you to be honest with yourself about what you're actually doing. So I will do things like I will write knock on FSBO doors, or FSBO door knocking, or knock on expired doors, etc. So that those are the things how I might use this. Now, I also said there's some magic built into this. Is not only tracking, but there's also a magic number here. There's 50 to 60 boxes, and what, from my experience and the experience of many people, when they're setting appointments and doing sales, 50 to 60 calls will usually land you, even if it's a cold call, 50 to 60 calls will usually land you at least one appointment. Some of us get better numbers than that, but that's the reason why that's there is because that's something you can almost count on. As a matter of fact, recently I hired an inside salesperson to make phone calls for me, and basically she averaged 50 to 60 calls per day would lead to setting an appointment for me. All right, so that's how that area is used. And in the back of many of these are a review section. So here you can see the daily planner has, once again, writing out your driving goals. Now, why would I start my day and end my day writing out my driving goals? Because it's that important. Because reminding yourself both at the beginning and the end of the day, at the beginning it starts you off right, and at the end it sets up your mind and your subconscious to be working for you, even whenever you're laying down, going to sleep at night. All right. Once again, this evening, what am I grateful for? Now, this can be the same thing or it can be different. Very important section, lessons learned, right? What did you learn today? What trip-ups did you have? What should you do better next time? Those are things for the lesson learned section. And then you have the today's wins and accomplishments. Guys, I ended it. In other words, I put the lessons learned first and the wins and accomplishments second for a reason. I want you to, when you're closing things out and you're working on your final thoughts, notice I put a little final thought section. When you're getting down to that, I want the positive. I want the wins. I want the things that you got done today. I want those to be on the top of your mind, right? Motivating you, making you feel good, giving you that good feeling as you drift off, as you end your day, as you whatever you consider at the end of your day where you're going to be doing this review section. You'll also notice here under the final thoughts. Now, the final thoughts section is basically just to summarize. It's a note section to summarize. It could be a quote that you have for the day. It could be just something that you want to end your day with. whatever it is, I left it open for you to be creative. But also there at the bottom, there's one little last checkbox. It says win tomorrow by planning today. In other words, get started on planning tomorrow. So I usually, even if I only fill out one section or do one thing, maybe it's the schedule, maybe it's the scheduling plan for the next day, but I'll usually do one thing on my next sheet for the next day so I can get started off right. And then you can see there's that box to kind of total up my productivity and discipline, giving it a score from 1 to 10 for productivity, giving it a 1 to 10 for discipline. In other words, what did I get done? And how well did I stick to my plan? And those can be different, okay? They don't have to be the same. I won't get too much into that because this is more about using the planner, and I want to give you some freedom to utilize this. I'm not going to get into a lot of depth into the next few sections because they kind of mirror some of the same ideas. So I'm just going to talk about some of the differences. So for the monthly, the focus page, one of the most important things that you'll need to be aware of is that it is an undated monthly planner. So if you need to look at your month from that fashion, this gives you a worksheet for it. No dates, right? No dates, so you can put those in, you can plan those out. Some of us are going to use this, some of us aren't. Driving goals for the month. I changed it a little bit. Motivational quote or affirmation, something positive to think about this month. You got your focus and milestone sections, right? And then on the back, the way that this is different is you might be wanting to track something monthly, right? You might want to be tracking something monthly. You got your habit trackers there. This month's biggest lessons learned, this month's biggest wins and accomplishments, and then of course, final thoughts. And then you've got your win by looking ahead and planning, right? Next event. All right, this week, right? Similar in the design. When you open it up, right? You've got your areas where you can make weekly events. You can go in as much detail or as little detail as you want. And what you'll notice in most of this planner is that I've used the bullet grids as the note-taking background. So that kind of helps you line some things up, etc. So there's your weekly planner. And you have a yearly planner. The yearly planner, right? There you've got your big picture of things that you may need to get done for the year you want to plan out. The difference is I've actually still got biggest lessons learned, biggest wins and accomplishment, final thoughts, etc. But we've also got a wheel of life. Some of us use that to kind of grade ourselves, to check out where we are, where we've been, where we've come from, etc. And the ability to write down some of the priorities. So basically this year planner is something that'll probably go good with your goal planner, and it's something you'll probably do this once a year, obviously, right? But a little different look, a little different feel to it. Okay? And then finally, the final page isn't very exciting. That's because it's a blank note page, but even though it's not very exciting, it's still very powerful, because built into this are the bullet grid, so that if you are a person who enjoys bullet journaling, this will work for you. And if you just need some extra note-taking and planning pages, or extra brainstorming pages, or heck, you just need something that you can walk into a meeting and have a couple of pages of notes and then put it into your binder later, you have a way to do that. Alright, so you've got your notes, you've got your year, you've got your week, you've got your monthly, you've got your daily. This is the one I use all the time, right? So I think, and then I set that one aside, and the goal planner, right? So you've got the whole set. I hope this helped you guys out. I hope this didn't take up too much of your time, but I wanted to take this 20 minutes and just kind of go through each, how I use it, how I think about it. I hope this tool brings value to you, that you get a lot out of it, that you personalize it, that you make it your own. And by all means, give me some feedback in the future. Love you guys. Talk to you next time. Hello, everyone. So this is Terry Barnett